सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् ॐ ॐ नमः शिवाय. Namaste to everyone. It is my joy and an honor again during this sacred time of Thanksgiving and in this retreat. We have been focusing on the topic of bhakti or devotion, which is extremely central and integral to our lives as sadhakas. Sadhakas means seekers, something. Everyone is a sadhaka, so to speak. Everybody is seeking something or the other. But the word sadhaka definitely means that the one who is seeking the truth of Bhagavan, the truth of the self, which is one and the same. Because all this here is one. There is one Bhagavan and one Atma. The Atma happens to be Bhagavan. And this is a very big topic, and it takes a lifetime to understand and assimilate and live this life. And without bhakti, this understanding of oneself as non separate from the whole universe and from the source of the universe is not even a possibility. Without bhakti, one can kiss mukti goodbye. And so, therefore, this is a very important topic, the various manifestations of which we have seen in the talks by all the speakers, swamis, who have shared their scholarship, their expertise, their experience. And the topic for today is very important also because it focuses on what we call the lives of saints. It's a very popular topic as well, uh, because there is something comforting about reading the biography of people who are saintly. And why is this comforting? If we ask, very, very interesting. Why are the lives of saints, reading about the lives of saints, why on earth should it be comforting? It is comforting because it gives hope. Many reasons. The first reason is it gives hope. You you don't want to read the life of some ordinary person. That is boring. Why? Because our own lives are boring. And an ordinary person is just like ourselves. Same kind of anger, same kind of reactivity, same kind of impatience, same old, same old. Who is interested in that? This is not a story worth being written. I woke up and then I had a temper tantrum for breakfast, and then I had anger for lunch and despair for dinner. Who wants this kind of a life story? This we are all too familiar with. And therefore we want something, and we are attracted to something out of the ordinary. In the face of anger, the person who is back angry is not something worth looking at. But the one who reacts with kindness in the face of anger is someone that to whom we are attracted. The one who gives love instead of retaliating, the one who gives some kind of a different, a slightly different reaction, or rather response, than the ones with which we are familiar, is something that attracts. This is what attracts. But this is again a very intriguing question. Why does this attract? Because we have seen, and it is our experience, that in the world, which is a very competitive place, you have to learn to defend yourself. You have to speak for yourself. Everybody teaches us this, starting with the parents. Everybody says you have to have boundaries. You have to not let people, take advantage of you. You have to have, between you and the other, there have to be strict boundaries. And then, but yet, we yearn to, and we are drawn to the lives of saints. We have a longing to cast off these boundaries. This is an innate yearning in the heart of all, an innate yearning. I don't want these boundaries. I don't want these divisions. I don't want to be angry. I don't want to react with anger. In fact, that disturbs me. Whenever I'm impatient, I wish to be patient. Whenever I am unkind, I wish I had been compassionate. Whenever I'm angry, I wish I had been more understanding. Whenever I'm resentful, I wish I had commanded the power to forgive. Whenever I'm bitter, I want to be sweet. This is the universal human yearning, not just confined to one particular ashram or people who go to that ashram. This is a universal value, or people go belonging to a particular religion. No, it's a universal value. Kindness, compassion, understanding, non reactivity, non retaliation, a yearning to be boundless. This is not a Christian value or a Muslim value or a Hindu value or a Buddhist value. It transcends religion. In fact, the religions are made to give us an avenue to discover this about ourselves. This is the truth. And so therefore we have to therefore one is attracted to the lives of saints. They embody what we want to be and what we wish we become. The Shastra, the teachings, talk about two kinds of growth as far as the human being is concerned. All other beings, dogs, cats, trees, all these, they only enjoy one kind of growth, which is the physical growth. A being is born, it survives birth, it grows, it blossoms, becomes capable of reproduction, and then it starts to feel weak and loses some of its powers, and finally the body is destroyed. This is the trajectory, meaning the journey of the physical growth. Everybody has it, from an ant to a human being. These sixfold modifications all beings are subject to. Human being also, same thing. Shadvikaraha in Sanskrit, sixfold modifications from birth to death, everybody undergoes. However, if we look closely, we find that with all other beings, they appear to be content with having these sixfold modifications. A cow grows up and becomes a mother cow, has a calf, and so long as it does not end up between two slices of bread, it seems to be happy. And it's allowed to live its life without being slaughtered for food. It is happy, it is content. No cow thinks, I think I need to go join an ashram, I need to go improve myself. These days I'm butting my head against so many people, so I need to learn anger management. No cow thinks. No donkey says I need lessons in patience because I keep kicking everybody who comes and stands in front of me or behind me rather. So no donkey says that. And no dog says I want to go to America for a better life for my puppies. No, no dog says that. But with the human being, there is a different kind of growth expected and anticipated. And what is this growth? This is emotional growth. Why? Spiritual growth, emotional growth. Why? Because only the human being is capable of this growth. All other beings are not capable of emotional growth because they are programmed more or less. They may have a few small desires. The cow will think that the pasture is green always on the other side. They may have a few desires, but for the most part, they are they are free to be who they are. But the human being begins the life in discontentment. Not content with who I am. I want to improve. I want to be better. I want to be free. Free of self judgment, free of self loath. I want to be accepting of myself and others. I want to have self love, a love so powerful that it radiates to that which is called the self in the Shastra, the Atma, which is everything. This is what one wants. And therefore, the human being is blessed with the potential for two kinds of growth. There is a small difference between the first growth, the physical growth, and the second growth, the emotional slash spiritual growth. What is the difference? The difference is the first one happens on its own. Ishvara takes care of it. God takes care of it. You don't have to pray to get the first wrinkle on your face. Oh God, all my contemporaries are having wrinkles and laugh lines. And the feet of the crow. What is a crow? Feet of the crow, the lines that come behind the eyes, that is called feet, something, crow feet or something like that. You don't have to pray, oh God, give me a wrinkle. It will come, don't worry. Get married, it will definitely come quicker, okay? Because you have to manage so many, you have to get adjusted to so many people, and it will come. And nobody says, where is my first gray hair? I'm not finding it. Oh God, please give me a gray hair. It will come. It will come. Enroll for graduate studies, gray hair will come, okay? Definitely. And then, nobody needs to pray for that or strive for that or struggle for that at all. It comes on its own. Kalena. Kalena means in time it comes. Whereas the growth that we are talking about, the second kind of special growth, that is meant for the human being alone. This second growth emotional, spiritual growth one has to initiate on one's own. This is where great grace is required. Great grace is required to understand, yes, there is something I'm wanting, and great grace, punya, is required to see that I'm capable of this. And great grace is required finally to initiate this growth. And that is what, the ashrams represent. The ashrams protect the desire for this growth and help to further it through the teachings of the Vedas, the Upanishad, yoga, all these things, life affirming teachings create a wonderful space to protect the desire for this growth and help it further. And this growth, to be the best that one can, finds its culmination in the lives of saints, holy people, people who have transcended the need for religion, people who have shown us and who continue to show us that there are ways to be in this world without being the same old reactive and impatient, angry, bitter, resentful, revengeful. Because this does not elevate the human spirit. One feels down. In fact, if you are angry at someone and you scream and shout at them, you are in pain. The other person is also in pain, no doubt, but you are more in pain. So, what is this anger that puts the giver and the receiver of the anger in pain? What kind of a life is this? And so, the lives of saints become an important uh, antidote to this way of being, which appears natural, but it is not. I wouldn't say it is natural to be revengeful. I would say it is habitual to be uncompassionate, revengeful, bitter, and resentful. It's a habit which is reinforced collectively and individually. We see others and we justify our behavior. So, therefore, the lives of saints become an important antidote to see that something is possible so that we can emulate them, at least in small ways, day to day, small ways. And the, uh, the beauty of this is that in our tradition, you don't need anybody's permission to be a saint. You don't need a certificate from some authority. You are a saint stamped. That too, 400 years after a person's death. You don't need that. You don't need somebody to stamp and say you are a saint. And that kind of a sainthood is for the few and the far between, like some special chosen people. The All Saints Club is an exclusive club of people who have been chosen and selected to be part of this group. No. Saintliness in the Hindu Dharma is the is the is the uh, is the culmination of one's growth. It is the universal destiny of everyone to be a saint. This is your future. This is your destiny. This is what we have to seize and quote unquote become. Why become? Because one is already that. Because I want to be kind. We say, you are already kind. That kindness is eclipsed. by the Rahu of wrong desires. Rahu is a shadow planet. By the Rahu and Ketu, another shadow planet of wrong desires. The saintliness is eclipsed, the saintliness is obfuscated by fear, by desire, by wrong projections. Somebody is out to get me, therefore I have to get them first. These are wrong projections. And so, therefore, the self initiated transformation becomes very difficult because of the habitual orientations. That is why the lives of saints are so attractive, very, very attractive. And I have been asked today to share a few stories. In fact, this was also one of the topics given to me for, I think, an earlier retreat. I think maybe the Labor Day retreat or something like that, right? Yeah. Shivani remembers. She's nodding. So I must say that, I'm not an expert on saints, but I think this is a topic that is important. And so, really speaking, it is not a repetition because we have so many saints to choose from. And I'm not very, I don't have a very good memory. I don't remember all that I talked about in the last talk. But the hope is that some of the stories will be new and will help us connect to the best of ourselves as we hear them. The first sage or saint that we are going to talk about is from the Vedas. In fact, her name is repeated. When we take the name of the entire lineage of sages, her name is repeated. And she is credited with two hymns, with channeling two hymns in the Vedas. Her name is Ghosha. Ghosha. And the daughter of a very devout and celebrated rishi, Kakshivan. Kakshivan, and this Kakshivan rishi had two sons and a daughter by the name of Ghosha. I have forgotten the son's name, and it is not important because their names are not worth remembering anyway, as you will see in the story. Why their names are not worth remembering. Unfortunately, Ghosha at a young age had some kind of a disfigurement disease. We don't know what. Maybe vitiligo, or maybe, where there are white patches on the skin, some people say, or maybe it was leprosy. We do not know. And so she was, even though she was very beautiful, there was some disfigurement, as the story goes. And unlike her brothers, who were not interested in anything spiritual, she became the student of her father and studied the Vedas, studied Vedanta under his tutelage. And then she was the rightful recipient of the small ashram that he had, somewhere, it is told, in northeast India. She was the rightful recipient because she was the one who had sat and studied at the feet of the father. And she became what is called a famous Brahmavadini, a teacher of Brahman. The father bequeathed the ashram to her and then passed away. And the brothers, who were missing in action all this time, returned after the father's death and plotted to take back the ashram from her and render her, who is sick, who is disfigured, homeless, without the ashram, moneyless, penniless. These two were big businessmen, and then they wanted the ashram also. And so they came back and tried to harass her First with some kind of, like they tried to scare, let wild animals into the ashram. They caught a tiger and then set it free in the ashram. Their plans backfired because the tiger went to sleep in front of the hut of Ghosha. And in the morning, it began mewing instead of roaring. And then she petted it and sent it away. And she said, "Oh, you poor thing, you're lost. Your home is not here. Go back to the forest." And it went away. And then the brothers not resting, they couldn't get sleep at night. How did this happen? We have to find out a bigger plot. Then they hired one man, a young man, who was supposed to go. There was some big, some kind of a, I think it must have been Shankranti, where the worship of the Bhagavan in the form of the sun is done. And then so everybody gathered at the river bank and to offer arghya, handfuls of water to to Bhagavan in the form of the sun. Shankranti is the winter solstice, and it comes in January 14th. So it looks like a story from around that time. So everybody was gathered on either side of the bank offering the arghyas, and then this young man who was hired by these good for nothing brothers, see, now they have a name, good for nothing. Okay, and so so these good for nothing brothers, they hired this young man to, when she emerged from bathing in the river to offer the arghya, they hired this young man to embrace her in public and proclaim, "Oh, you are my beloved. Stop this ashram and everything. Come and live with me. How long can we carry on this affair in secrecy? My heart burns for you," so on and so forth. And they said, "Are you sure you'll do this? We are paying you a lot of money. We want, I mean, this is an age old thing. If you want to, if you just question the woman's character, that's what is the most effective. You destroy her reputation, then all the people in the village and in the ashram will throw tomatoes. Tomatoes means one is lucky, stones, throw stones at her, and then drive her out. And then of course we will come back and reclaim the father's ancestral property, which actually should belong to us. And again, the young man was schooled, and they said, this sister of ours, she's a very wily creature. You don't know what she'll do. She knows some magic also. So, because the tiger started to meow like a cat, and so be careful. And for good measure, they bought him a little bit of a local brew, some toddy, and to make him drink so that he loses his inhibitions. And the young man said, "Yes, yes, yes, I can do this. And yes, thank you for the money." And then he went at the appointed time. All the people were gathered. And then Ghosha dipped into the water and then was going to offer. And he was supposed to embrace her. But then, as she emerged from the river, he saw her, and then he was just blinded by her radiance, the story goes. And instead of embracing her, fell at her feet and said, "Accept me as your disciple, O mother, and let me study with you and serve you." This is what happened. And this is something which is very interesting, because the story is not very well known, and it is rare to find. And so it is something which is so beautiful. It is beautiful because even though we see it as her performing miracles, it's not miracles. It's not a miracle. You are the miracle. You are the miracle. You living in your full potential, you are the miracle. And here we find that someone who has no inhibitions and is incapable of wrongdoing, and is looking at this man with none other than some a universal love, Just she sees him as herself, as non-separate from herself. And because the young man was of, good character, a dharmic fellow perhaps, he had this transformation. And falling at her feet, she revealed everything. And then the brothers also came out from hiding and asked her forgiveness. And then she said, "Yes, you are forgiven, but please don't disturb the ashram anymore. Please go away." That is what. And let you also live peacefully, and let us live in peace. Then, you know, a devotee of hers, somebody said, we just want you to enjoy full health. This disfigurement, I cannot tolerate, all the devotees said. One of them started, and everybody was crying because they saw her getting weaker from this, whatever disease of disfigurement she had. And she prayed to the Ashwin twins. Ashwin twins are assistants of uh, Dhanvantari, Bhagavan in the form of the healer, who came with a pot of Amrita, the nectar of immortality when the ocean was churned. What is this nectar of immortality? Brahma Vidya. That is what, which teaches you that you are immortal. And so she prayed to the Ashwin twins who had studied with sage Dadhyang and who knew everything. And then they taught her the portion of the Brahma Vidya which appears in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad as Madhu Vidya. And then she was completely healed after she listened to this story of sorry, to the teachings. And out of gratitude she composed the second hymn. That is what the story goes. This is Saintess Ghosha. And and then the next one that we will take up today for our analysis, for our narration, is someone that comes a little later, in the 17th century, uh, 17th or 18th century, I don't know, saint from Karnataka, India, whose name is Purandhara Dasa. Purandhara Dasa. And that was his spiritual name. His birth name was Srinivasa. Srinivasa was his birth name. And this Srinivasa was the most miserly fellow that you could ever encounter. Was not born kind, compassionate, nothing. And if those qualities were there, they were most hidden, most latent, not discoverable at all. And he was very rich. His father had a what is that called? Jewelry business. Jewelry business was there, and then he inherited that business, and he had in those days a multi-story mansion, and he was known in the neighborhood as Navakoti Narayana. Navakoti means the one who has 9 billions. 9 billions, meaning so rich. So he was a billionaire, and everybody was frightened of him. He was mean, he was rude, he was condescending, meaning he looked down upon everyone. And of course, opposites attract. His wife, Saraswati Bai, was the total opposite of him, saintly, pious, and giving. And she too was very afraid of her husband. It is said that when he came home from work, he would head straight to the kitchen. Oh, for his food? No, no, no. He would count how much rice was there, and whether the wife had given some away in his absence. How much rice, how much dal is kept, how much wheat, everything he would count. And still, somehow, the wife, we don't know who is the saint here. Well, this is a saint couple actually, because she, as the story will go, she brings out the best in the husband. So it is said that she would take a handful of rice to give to the people, whoever came asking at the door. One or two handfuls she would keep, and then she would pray to Vishnu and say, you know what, refill this, okay, by evening, by the time he comes, please refill this, because I don't want to be the recipient of his anger. He has a vile temper. Oh Lord, please help. And the Lord always obliged, and she didn't get into trouble. So then one day, the story goes that Lord Vishnu himself wanted to teach him a lesson. So Lord Vishnu went to his office and said, please, he disguised himself as a poor man, a beggar, without anything in the world, this sad beggar, and then went in tatters to his office, to the jewelry shop where everything, there is abundance. Says, please give something. No, 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 no. This is not a household. Where will I have rice? Off with you. No, 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 please, you have so many jewels. Give me one small little, this piece of gold which is lying on the floor, which you're not even going to use, which you don't even know, which will probably be swept up. Off with you, he said. And he called the guards of the jewelry shop and had the man taken by the neck and thrown outside and beaten for good measure. Then this fellow, Vishnu in the beggar's guise, went to Saraswati Bai, the wife, and said, you know, I thought this is a giving neighborhood, and I went to this man. He pretended not to know that this was the husband. I went to this man with the jewelry shop, and look, mother, how he has beaten me up, and he threw me out of the shop just because I wanted a meal. And I thought I wanted it. I just asked for a small, tiny little thread of gold that was lying on the floor, and he wouldn't have used anyway. And then it would have fed me for several days. So, you see, can you believe what he did? And Saraswati Bai was very moved. And she said, what to give now? What to give him? I can't send him just like this. Then she remembered that she had a nose stud, a diamond nose stud, given to her by her parents at the time of marriage. Aha, this belongs to me truly. This doesn't belong to the husband. I can freely give it away, she said. So saying, she removed it and then, put it in his hand. And then that's why Vishnu, Krishna, they are all tricksters. And then this Vishnu, in the guise of the poor man, the story goes, went back to the office, went back to the jewelry shop, and seeing him, Purandharadasa, whose name was Srinivasa, said, hey, just half an hour back I kicked you out and you dare to come back? He said, hey, treat me with respect. I'm a customer. I have something to sell. Oh, you don't have even clothes on your back, proper clothes on your back. What are you going to sell to me? And he opens his hand and shows the diamond nose stud. And this fellow is flabbergasted. He says, this belongs to my wife. I know the design. I know this. And surely he has gone to the wife, and the wife has double crossed me and given this nose stud. How dare she? Everything belongs to me, and her jewelry belongs to me too. And so he said, okay, I'll give the money later. You stand here. And he locked up the nose stud in the locker and hurried home. And Saraswati Bai saw him coming through the window. And then she said, okay, I'm done in for. At least during the time of pandemic, you wear a mask. You don't see that there is no nose stud because the nose is covered. But in those days, there was no pandemic. So she would have been outed quickly. And so the story goes that she just mixed herself some poison in a cup, mixed it with some water, and she said, Hari, oh Lord, this is, save me. and she was about to drink, and something glittered in at the bottom of the poison cup. It was her own nose stud. Quickly she washed it, and meanwhile this man is coming and banging the door. Open the door, Saraswati. What is wrong with you? I know you are hiding behind there, and I know what you have done. You're going to get the beating of your life. And then, to his surprise, a very calm and beautiful Saraswati with plus the nose stud opens the door. What's the matter? What's the matter, oh husband of mine? Try to be pleasant once in a while. Why are you always angry? What happened? And then he said, you're wearing the nose stud. She says, of course I'll wear my nose stud. Will you wear it? Of course I will wear it. It's mine. What is your problem? And then he's very flabbergasted. Then he rushes back to his office, opens the locker. It is missing. He himself had locked it. And then he wants to know where this poor man is. And the quote unquote poor man has disappeared, vanished from the whole uh, place. A deep transformation happens to Srinivasa, who comes back and falls at his wife's feet and declares her to be his greatest teacher. And he says, I have been so wrong. And I am 35 years old now. And for the last 35 years, I have caused so much distress and pain to Mother Earth because I have not taken care of her creatures. I have not taken care of my fellow beings, even though I had so much. And then they had small children, and all of them locked up the house, gave it away to charity, gave away everything. And whoever wants can come and take it. Gave the key to whoever wanted, and then set off into the streets. Roamed most of the state of Karnataka. Didn't settle down anywhere. And Saraswati was thrilled. She said, I knew you had it in you. I knew you had it in you. I knew I would see this day. And I'm so happy that it has come very quickly. And he met his teacher, who gave him some kind of a Karma Yoga Diksha and changed his name to Purandhara Dasa, a name of Lord Krishna. And he was musically inclined, and it is said that he composed 475,000 songs between the ages of 35 to 80 when he died, when he passed away. And very beautiful songs of devotion, songs of knowledge. His Ishta Devata was Lord Krishna, and he is also seen as the um, as the father of South Indian music, called Carnatic music, father of Carnatic music, and very songs that touch the heart. They touch the heart because they come from a place of sincerity. They come from a place of yearning and longing, and they come from a place of deep devotion. In one of them, he sings, very famous song. He sings, "O Mother Yashoda, I am jealous of you. O Mother Yashoda, I am jealous of you. The one who, because you lift and throw and catch, that one who lifts and throws and catches the universe as though it were a small ball. You lift and throw the baby, Krishna, and catch him. You throw him and catch him in delight. And who is this Krishna? The one who throws the universe and catches it at will. The one who projects this universe, catches it, and takes it back unto himself. That Krishna you throw into the air and catch him squealing with delight, O Mother Yashoda. How can I not be envious of you? These bring tears to the eyes because you can see this. You can see the profundity. You can see the profundity in this music. So some beautiful songs are there. Beautiful songs are there, like this. And so this is Saint Sage Purandhara Dasa, And there is a temple. There are many temples dedicated to him, but there is one place in the open air in a place called Hampi in Karnataka, where it is called Purandhara Dasa Mantapa, where it's kind of an open air mandapa where he used to sit and compose songs for Lord Krishna, Vishnu, etc. Very beautiful. And the moral of what we learn from this story of this particular saint is something so lovely, because when we look at the antecedents of this Purandhara Dasa, we recognize ourselves there. Why? Because the miserliness, the non giving, off with you, and this kind of a thing, angry, rude, pride, and look at the transformation, a complete 180-degree turn. This kind of a transformation, very difficult to have without the help of Lord Vishnu here. Yeah, otherwise he would have gone his own way. But something happened. And for the skeptic within us, who says, how is it possible for that same nose ring to be in the jeweler's locker and to be on the nose of the wife? How is that possible? Even if it is seen in, even if it is seen in the sense of a mistaken identity or some kind of a mistake that he made, or if Saraswati Bai put an artificial nose stud just to fool the husband, who anything is possible. Even if the skeptic within us says that, that doesn't matter, because it's not about miracles, it's about the transformation. It's about the transformation from an ordinary person to an extraordinary person. That is what catches here. That is what is very, very, very beautiful. Extremely beautiful. Then there are so many examples coming. I'm trying to decide which one we can talk about after this. So the other one is interesting. This is someone we know, the composer of the Ramayana, Valmiki, also regarded as a great devotee, a great saint. And the story is that he was born as a Brahmana in a Brahmana family, but unfortunately, where they lived, and I don't know where because it's such an ancient time, so wherever they lived, suffered 12 years of constant rainlessness, drought, no rain at all. And so, therefore, they had a lot of difficulty trying to upkeep themselves. So this man, Valmiki, whose name was Lohajangha, means the one who had iron thighs. Maybe he liked to work out or something. Who knows? So he was like a wrestler, very strong. So Lohajangha, he took to adharmic ways. He became a robber, and he used to relieve people of their belongings wherever they went. Crossing one village to another at night was terrifying, because this fellow would first kill and then steal. Again, a miracle. And what is this miracle? Sage Narada, about whom we talked only a day and a half ago, comes into the picture. I told you, whenever Narada comes, it is a harbinger, a messenger of self growth. So Narada is the one who crosses his path. And Valmiki, as he was known later, says, hey, stand and deliver. Give me all your belongings. Give me your gold. And if it had been modern times, he would have said, give me your eye watch. Give me your cell phone. Give me everything. And Narada is a mendicant. He's a sadhu. He had a bag with 4 chapatis that somebody had packed for his dinner. He says, this is all I have, chapatis. And he says, what? You have only chapatis? Who wants these chapatis? I want gold. I want this. I want that. Narada says, sorry. And he's very angry. He says, I have not had anything. None of my earnings I have had today. And Narada says, I wouldn't call them earnings. I would call them stealing other people's earnings. These are not your earnings. And mind you, you are attracting bad karma. Ha, says Valmiki. Bad karma. I'm not attracting any bad karma because I'm doing it for my elderly parents. I'm doing it for my wife. I'm doing it for my children. Narada says, oh, really? So why don't you? I'll stand here. Why don't you go and ask them if they will share some of your papa, some of your bad karma, if they'll share. Of course, they'll share. They are my people. Okay, go ask them. And for good measure, he ties Narada to a tree because he's very angry. Now he's challenged, and so he goes back home in the middle of the night. And since he's a nocturnal fellow, everybody gets worried. Why has the children are worried? Why has father come back in the middle of the night? Did you get caught? Are you being sentenced to death by the king's men? What happened? No, no, no. I want to find out something. So everybody gathers, the wife, the parents, they gather. And then he says, look, I know I have to do all this robbery, and they say it's a bad thing. Yeah, it's a bad thing, but I have to do this because I'm feeding all of you. So will you partake of my bad karma? Because Narada, the stupid sage who I have tied up to a tree, says that I am having so much bad karma. So you will share it, right? And the parents who are the first to speak say, no, because there are other ways. We are old, we cannot hear very well, we cannot see very well, and we are dependent on you, so we are just keeping quiet. But for you, there are other ways, and we have told you that there are other ways. We have told you repeatedly to give up this life. Why should we share your karma? We have our own karma. We don't want to share your karma. Then the wife, he says, oh, you are my beloved, you will definitely, we share everything, so you will share my karma too, right? And she says, it is my bad karma already to be married to one such as you. So I don't need to share any more of your karma. You keep your karma. And then the children, he says, oh, daddy is so wonderful, right? You will share some of the bad karma of daddy, right? And the children say, we don't know what bad karma is, but it sounds bad. We don't want it. We don't want it. And so then what returns back to the forest is a very dejected Valmiki. He is so dejected, he is so upset with himself. And he says he is overcome with remorse. So many people I have killed, and so many people ill gotten, I've got all these ill gotten gains with a sense of entitlement. What's going to happen to me now? Thinking like this, dejected, distracted, he unties poor Narada, who is, tied up there. And Narada says, what? You went so angry and now you are crying. What happened? He says, oh, please don't torture me anymore. Find me a way of washing off this karma. And he says, there is one way. You take the name of Bhagavan. Say Rama, 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 Rama. And he says, what will that do? That is a soap. That is a very effective soap that will wash off all the papa. It is an internal soap. External soap you use while bathing, that cleans the outside. But what cleans the inside is Hari Namaiva Kevalam. Harir Namaiva Kevalam. So the Nama of Hari, Harer Nama, the Nama of Lord Hari, is what clears this internal dirt, raga, dvesha, strong prejudices, strong preferences. And all this is possible if you just take the name of Lord Rama. How long should I repeat? Until, I come back, he says. Just like that. Until I come back, you repeat. And Narada is the traveler in all the three lokas. When is he going to come back? He himself doesn't know. He just says that flippantly and goes away. And Valmiki sits and doesn't move keeps on chanting Rama, 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 Rama. And very soon, trees grow around him, an ant hill grows around him. He's unmindful of the ants. Even one ant we cannot stand. But imagine sitting in the middle of a fire ant hill. Fire ants are those big, big sized ants. And when you are bitten, it's like being on fire. He was unmindful of all that. And then even the ants probably thought him to be safe and perhaps did not bite him. And a cow would come and milk itself spontaneously into his mouth because he didn't even get up for food. Nothing. He just sat there and chanted Rama, Rama. And many years later, Narada happened to go past that forest, and suddenly he heard Rama, Rama, Rama coming, and he says, where? What? Oh, the ant hill is chanting. How can the ant hill chant? And then he cleared it and he found now Valmiki aged, white hair, white beard, still chanting Rama, 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 Rama. And he dusts him off and he says, you know what? You are clear inside. No more papa karma. You have been transformed. And now, what should I do now? He says, now write the story of Lord Rama, which is itself a teaching for you. He says, but I don't know the story of Lord Rama. He says, okay, I will tell you in 100 verses. And this is what is called Shatashloki Ramayana. 100 verse Ramayana, Narada relates in short. And then Valmiki composes the entire, Ramayana. Very beautiful. And this again, this story shows how it is never too late to repent. Prayashchitta, to have repentance is never too late. To have the ability to transform oneself is never too late. No matter how hopeless, no matter how dreadful one thinks one's life is, it's never too late to change. Once you make up your mind to change, the whole universe, it's as though throws flowers at you because this is your destiny. And if you follow your destiny of growing into a saint, food is taken care of, shelter is taken care of, everything is taken care of. Yes, Valmiki was not in a five-star hotel. The ant hill was his shelter, but that's okay. So it is it's what you need is given. Food was given to sustain him. Everything was given. When everything is given, when one follows one's destiny of transforming oneself into a saint. So I leave you with these, just some food for thought, some closing words. Because people keep saying, I want some sadhana, give me some homework. So here is the homework. And what is the homework? A little bit we can incorporate, a little kindliness, a little kindness, a little compassion, a little, sometimes the mind is running, and with the mind is also running the vak speech. And when we tell the speech to be just silent a little bit, then the mind has some time to recuperate from real and perceived difficulties, insults, fears, feeling wronged, all these things. And when the mind has a chance to recuperate and there is a little bit of a space between I, the witness, and the mind, then there is some time for this transformation to take place. So the next time somebody says something unkind to you, stop. You don't have to be kind in return. Just don't say anything for a few seconds. Count. Sometimes you need to count 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, etc. Sometimes you have to say 100, 99, 98, depending on how difficult the situation is. So count down. And when you're counting down mentally, Do not retaliate. Give yourself the privilege to be able to respond to the situation, not react to the situation. If you react to the situation, the beast within one is responding. The animalistic person who doesn't think, who is impulsive, who just, wants to retaliate. But when we give ourselves the privilege of just a few seconds, a few minutes to come up with an answer, already there is space. It's a two-step response. It is not a reaction, it's a response. And so, therefore, that becomes much more, that itself is putting oneself well on the way of the road to kindness. The road to kindness comes in small measures. The road to compassion, the road to the second kind of transformation that one has to initiate, comes through the lived life, a little bit at a time. Bit by bit we grow, and bit by bit we learn how to be our best selves. And growth is best done in person. So have a little, growth buddy. Make a friend in the ashram or anywhere you are. Make a friend, and then you decide to grow together. And that is the most effective way of growing. Thank you very much. ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्तिः 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 हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ Thank you so much. Shubharatri. Good night.